Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers, Facebookians. Anyways, it seems Moppy's not here, but Blizzard wants to be on the camera. Okay, let's see if I can raise his head. Yeah, he's on Aaron again. There we go. Just the tip of his. Anyways, today's probably the final video on transgenderism. We did learn some very valuable information. I, of course, want to say that I've done most of the work from email and from writing of letters, snail mail. I've almost put myself in the poorhouse when it comes to envelopes. Aaron did the research on phone calls. As some of you know, he was making phone calls tomorrow. Now, letters trickled in today. Aaron made phone calls, even to the people that the letters came in today. And it came out that, well, the final video is going to ask, what is medically necessary?
That final video
on transgenderism.
It can be done in this one. Fact of the matter is, every single place we contacted, tons and tons and tons of them,
20, 30, 40, 50 phone calls. I've sent over 250 emails, and they all say it's not medically necessary for facial feminization or breast implants. So take it away, Aaron.
After all the phone calls today, it just was all horribly wrong. Every single doctor's office, every single secretary, we don't cover that. We don't cover that. It would be fraud. It would be fraud. We can't do that. I wasn't asking if they were, but I got my head chewed off by a few of them, and I was just asking some basic questions whether they do this and whether they accept that insurance. No, absolutely not. And then I was saying, well, what about under medically necessary? They said, no, we cannot do that. Anybody who claims that they're having it done through us on Medicare is lying to you. That type of thing was going on. Also, some people are mentioning a website out there that has a list of doctors who do it and said that they don't want to be on that list because they don't do it. Yeah. And that they've actually asked to be removed from that list. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't know how much of what anybody tells me is true. But, you know, you put in a call and you talk to them and they tell you something, you guess you got to take them at face value. They're employees. I don't see why not to trust them. But they say absolutely not. They don't take this. They don't take that. There is no medically necessary. Medicare is not covering it and be fraudulent if anybody does cover it. And they could be expected to pay the entire amount back if they did somehow get it done.
And the doctors
and Medicare finds out, and the doctor would very likely lose their license for having done it too, under the grounds of Medicare fraud, in which they can serve up to 5 years of prison time for having done the surgery. And I really don't think a surgeon out there is going to risk 5 years to give some trans person a pair of boobs or remove a pair. You know, as much as I think that, you know, people who want to go through that should be able to go through that, at the same time, I don't think any doctor out there in the right mind is going to sit there and say, sorry, I can do this for you, I'll risk my entire career for you, and I'll charge Medicare for it, and they'll pay me $500 for a $7,000 surgery, and I won't be able to bill you more than, you know, $50 or whatever.
I have to agree.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to risk their job. I know recently I read where somebody said Dr. Allison Shore was going to give them their breast augmentation. Dr. Shore's office said, we do not under any grounds take Medicare. We have not taken Medicare. We're trying to set up to take Medicare, but at this point we do not take Medicare. So if they, as they claim, got their surgery through Dr. Shore, either they're lying or Dr. Shore did it and risked her entire career for it. And I really don't think, as significant as you think you may be, that you are worth a doctor's career to said doctor, whichever doctor that may be.
Yeah, and another thing is I'm not...
Now, all you're doing when you say that you're having somebody do it on Medicare, what you're doing is you're ending up pissing off everybody who is on Medicare, when in actuality you didn't have it done on Medicare. You either paid for it out of your own pocket, which means you had more savings than you're allowed by Social Security, or unless you're retired. Retirees can have a certain amount of savings, I believe, and still get it. My grandma did. So does my aunt, as you know.
Yeah.
So, in fact, my aunt's several $1 million, and she gets Social Security. So you can have as much savings as you want once you're retired. It's just disabled you can't. So if you're claiming to be on disability and you're claiming to have gotten a $5,000 surgery, you either frauded the government, or B, you ended up having more money in savings than you were allowed, or C, you're lying through your teeth just to piss people off. So, question is, which is it? Because these doctors are not risking their careers for you.
Exactly. And today, Aaron
and you make people feel insignificant, and you make other people feel semi-suicidal when they can't get it done.
And do you really want to risk someone...
because you want to be a braggart lying through your teeth to feel as if, hey, look at me, I got it done. But you can't. You can't. But you can fight, fight.
And then you post the name and the doctor on like forums and websites, and people start calling up, and then the doctor's office...
Then the doctor's office has to keep hanging up and denying everyone, and then people threaten suits, and then you end up having a whole bunch of people trying to sue. Hey, maybe that's the point of the whole thing. Let's give every doctor's name out there and see if a bunch of people will go and sue those doctors and sue Medicare because those doctors aren't doing it, and they should be doing it, even if they're risking their career. And maybe, just maybe, within a year or so of all this harassment and lawsuits and frivolity, that eventually you'll end up being able to get the Medicare to change their policy so anybody could just say, I want them, and they'll get them.
I do want to make a statement about medically necessary, since this is what the topic was, and then I'd like Aaron's opinion. Medically necessary, okay. The female to males, to get rid of to have their penis built, they have to have their ovaries and uterus moved. That's medically necessary so they don't bleed, their periods. But to remove their breasts...
Let me tell you what medically necessary is. If I have an imaginary knife here, and I stab her 4 times in the chest and she's still breathing, that's medically necessary because you're going to die if you don't get it taken care of. Now, however, if you happen to have a pimple on your forehead and you want your doctor to lance it for you, that is not medically necessary. Yes, it might be painful. Yes, you don't like it. Yes, it's ugly as hell, but it's not medically necessary.
What I'm trying to say is this. Under the transgendered guidelines, and Aaron could agree with me, female to male goes in and somehow they lie about having breast cancer and they get them lopped off, they get their things done.
And by the way, you get caught doing that, you can go to jail for 5 years.
5 to 10. But anyways, here's the kicker. Now, a doctor sits there, and I talked to several GRS doctors via email, and they each said, medically necessary, if you want your phalloplasty and your other surgeries, you have to have your hysterectomy and uterus done. To do that, you must pay out of your own pocket first. But now they're saying hysterectomy uterus is done, then they can do the phalloplasty. But they can't remove the breast because it's not medically necessary.
And by the way, you get caught frauding Medicare and you face 5 to 10 years. It's what's called a felony. And if you get a felony and you're disabled and truly are disabled, you will never get disability again in your life. In fact, you won't even get retirement. You will have to work the rest of your life or be in and out of jail. Because that's about the only choice you're going to have to be able to survive.
Now, what I wanted to say about medically necessary, since I just explained medically necessary for female and male, doctor can do all the surgeries. Somehow the female to males
are getting... It's not medically necessary.
Hear me out. So they go in and the Social Security says, it's medically necessary to give you a phalloplasty. Oh, well, we have to remove your uterus and ovaries so you and seal it up so you have a penis. That's fine. The breasts, somehow they get them removed. I don't know how, but here's the funny thing. They claim the female to male is all medically necessary. Every doctor that does surgeries from male to female says it's only medically necessary for the bottom surgery. Hello, this is what I got a question for Medicare then. Just out of curiosity, and this is where I'm going in this video with Aaron present, is if breast implants are medically necessary, if facial surgery, FFS, facial feminization is not necessary, but if vaginoplasty is, and let's just say they're tranny, which they are.
In my opinion, FFS would be far more important as medically necessary because on the grounds, it's about suicide. And that's about your self-image and stuff. If you're going out with facial hair and a male pattern baldness, and you're aging like a guy, and you identify as a woman, you may be so uncomfortable going out, maybe you'd be suicidal. But having the lower surgery, unless you're having sex constantly and you can't have sex with your current boyfriend and you're hiding it from him and you don't want him to know that you have, well, male parts, that's why you want to commit suicide. It's not technically medically necessary. It just means that you're trying to be happy in your relationship, but you're still going to age like a guy. So the fact of the matter is you have to have facial feminization surgery somewhere. That, in my opinion, is probably more medically necessary than having lower surgery. Now, lower surgery is probably second most medically necessary, with breast augmentation, frankly, not being important at all, because there are flat women out there. Deal with being a flat woman, or pay for your implants.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's what.
And I know Rita doesn't like that idea, because that's, you know.
No, I was trying to say is to Aaron, and we're not going to go there. I have, so that's Aaron.
I'm complaining about something else.
Anyways, the thing Aaron and I were talking about a while ago was, what's the point of Medicare basically saying for the female to males everything's medically necessary to make them male, yet the male to females turn around and they only get a vaginoplasty. I asked this doctor yesterday about it, and he says I can't answer that because it's certain things.
Because technically it's illegal, so anybody who, if they do have any way of doing it, telling you the back doors and everything is technically illegal.
I know, but I wasn't asking for the back door. The thing is apparently, supposedly, and I'm still confirming it, I have two friends on the East Coast working to see about breast removal, just to see if it's medically necessary. Not on cancer reasons, but, female to male reasons yet. So far, they've hit a dead wall today working with me on it. But the male to female side is, Medicare is going to be saying it's medically necessary, and like that old bitty bag army person who basically claims that they need to have a vagina medically necessary at 74 years old
to keep from committing suicide.
Then there's a problem because they didn't have breast implants and they can't get facial surgery. Now they're pressing for facial surgery and breast implants.
Yeah, because they want to look 16, even though they're in their 70s.
Yeah, and there's a problem. You see, it's
from
not
what we've heard.
Yeah, it was on the...
It was her own words. She said something about the fact that in school she wanted to be her classmate, and she still has that dream to this day, even though she's in her 70s. Well, you're never going to be your 16-year-old classmate.
Well, yeah, exactly. And the point is what's the point, and this is what I want to say to the transgenders out there, including Cigar Addicts, Cindy 1981, and that Johnny person, if they're watching this.
You don't have to bring them up every video.
And other subscribers that are transgendered on this channel.
And what's the point?
No, I said in any other transgendered person that finds our channel or is subscribed to us is what's the point? And I'm not saying I'm going to be denying myself this, but what's the point if Medicare is saying the vaginoplasty is medically necessary for male or female, but other surgeries aren't? There's something wrong. Do you want to walk around the rest of your life looking male with a vagina? I know one guy that says that's his ultimate dream.
There's probably a few out there that would be quite happy doing that. We live in a day of all sorts of strange fetishes.
I know. So, but yes, Aaron made the phone calls. He got reamed out, chewed out, barked at. A lot of them said, what are you trying to do? Trying to have us commit Medicare fraud? And Aaron said, no, I'm just trying to ask the question.
So, if you want the true answer to... is breast augmentation, facial feminization surgery covered by Medicare? No, it is not. No, it is not medically necessary. No, you cannot appeal over and over and over and over again and finally get them to say yes. You get 3 appeals. So, they are persistent messaging.
They're pissing me off. And again, it's one email, but the problem is I can't even log in.
Yes, you wanted to complain about that too.
Yeah.
Trying to get mental health, which on the grounds of Medicare and stuff for transgendered issues. Again, trying to find out whether it's even medically necessary and possible. Same with endocrinology. We're working on those two, trying to find somebody for Rita. But
even though I'm already on hormones.
Yes. But trying to find somebody on those two and hair removal is a third. Doubt we're going to find anyone on hair removal because most of them aren't doctor's offices and can't take insurance, period. So that's not likely. Laser hair surgery is.
Yes, if it's in the if it is only
that's
in a university setting.
That's probably not even going to be considered medically necessary. Laser hair surgery, hair removal, is always done in some type of hospital situation because of the equipment.
Yes,
used.
I know.
You're not going to find that at your local hairdresser.
Well, I do know
local hairdressers do have the equipment for electrolysis.
Yeah, exactly. However, there's a place that did electrolysis in Bellevue I went to that did my laser when I was younger, and they had electrolysis too. But
you're not going to find it in somebody's garage. You can with electrolysis.
Yes, the laser.
And anybody in their garage is not going to be able to charge.
The laser machine alone is $250,000, so not many people have it.
Electrolysis machine.
I said laser.
I was going to say electrolysis. No. You can get one pretty cheap. They're about $500, I think, to $1,000. I looked them up once because I thought about doing that even long before I met you.
Yeah. Well, anywho,
I thought about doing my own electrolysis because there's times I don't like the hair I have.
Yeah. Well, all I wanted to say to you all viewers out there watching this is
I was still in the middle of something. The Health Link thing. It's a place that seems that you could possibly go for psychiatry. However, they're constantly sending you a message all the time saying, go and create an account and sign in to get your message. It's a secure message, but we can't log in because they keep changing her phone number on her without her permission.
When I started an account, it was with my current number.
And now she can't log in.
And now it's with my old number, thanks to my primary doctor.
Yeah, who went and changed it for no reason. So... And what do? And then we call them and they say, oh, it'll take 4 or 5 days for us to call you back. Yay. Anyways, I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, so all I wanted to say to you all before we log off is Aaron's going to go play a video game, so am I. It's simple. What is medically necessary? Medically necessary is simple. If you're a female to male, you can probably get away with having your entire sex change covered by Medicare because you guys claim it's medically necessary. But if you're male to female, every doctor that's doing the gender reassignment surgery is saying they can only pay for bottom surgery, the vagioplasty or vaginoplasty. Breast implants and facial surgery is not covered. We've tried this today. I got over 250 emails from doctors around the country that works with transgendered patients. Every one of them says, go and finance through credit, like care credit, so you can get the care you need for what you need. And that's it. So, if you look at it that way, and you're looking at it from that way, and then you see someone say, oh yes, I had my breast implants, they're lying through their teeth if they come out and they say this doctor, that doctor, this doctor, that doctor, or anything. Aaron just gave a name of just one doctor because apparently they basically...
That's one of the most common we've seen online.
Exactly. So if anyone wants to say we're slandering her name, we're not. We're just basically saying what we got from the people online.
I think I've read about 8 or 9 people who've apparently got it done through her or are getting it done through her.
And then we call and they say no. So we don't know what's going on or, etc. So, and the other thing is I wanted to say to you all, apparently Miss Angela basically said today, and I'm looking at Aaron as he's munching on some snackies, is when it comes to the referrals should not have expired, but apparently they need to have new updated referrals.
Like all of a sudden you might not be transgendered anymore.
Yeah, so the doctor wants me to redo my transition after 16 years. 16 years. So, and by the way, to be transgender, I think it's getting more and more harder in this damn country because the farther away you live from the bigger cities, the less likely you'll find a specialist that will help you, and you're screwed.
Also, the referrals have to be valid within the last 2 months.
Yeah, and the referrals have to be valid in the last 2 months. So you tell me, how do you jump through all those hoops to get it done?
Especially when doctors have a 7-year wait list, some of them.
Yeah, some of them have a 4 to 7 year wait list in places around the world. So how do you do it? You keep your referrals, you go to Thailand. But a lot of people say, oh, you can't go to Thailand because of this or that. But that's another story for another time, and I don't want to get into it. Bottom line is, what is medically necessary? I'd like to ask Medicare, because if they're going to make men have vaginas and nothing else, and they can look female, but they can't have breast implants or facial surgery, then what's the point? Medicare would be better off putting the money towards something else. I mean, for crying out loud. They're going to do it this way, fine. But they're going to do it another way, fine. But if they're just going to get vagioplasties, that's fine. But the problem is the female to males are getting more services than the male to females, because they have to have their uterus removed, and their ovaries removed, and they got to have their phalloplasty, and and all this stuff. And then the bills are like 4 times what a vagioplasty is. You add breast implants on top of it, you're doing good. I mean, heck, I read a Medicare report that said if you have a referral for breast implants, they would cover it. But now they say they don't. Something doesn't add up, and every place we've called in the country, emailed, or even snail mailed, as Aaron said in the background earlier, you can take everything from face value, because frankly, these doctors and these nurses, they work together. And because they work together, they know what's better for them and what their clinic's policy is than us sitting there saying and pulling something out of our butt, like saying something on Facebook. You need to have hard facts. Facts are backed up. Me and Aaron has done, since Christmas time, since we found out that sex changes were covered by Medicare, transgendered surgeries, not one damn hard fact came out for breast augmentation or facial feminization. I hear people say, oh yeah, well, I'm on an Advantage plan. I just got to get pre-qualified, pre-authorized, and I get my whole face done and my breasts done, and I'll be hot and gorgeous, while the person with regular Medicare gets jack diddly poo. I'm sorry. Medicare and Medicare Advantage plan works together. The problem is Medicare still got to go through the appeal process the same way if you have an Advantage plan. Therefore, if you look at it that way...
And I forgot to mention this. One of the things that seems to have happened is people have gone looking at websites for various plastic surgeons, and it says, well, we take Medicare and insurances that they accept or forms of payment. And it says also later, under the types of surgeries, they do breast augmentation or facial feminization surgery. So then transgender people are sitting there saying, yay, they take Medicare for... No, they don't. They take Medicare for fixing a hair lip where a person's whole front lip is split open, and or a cleft palate, which is a form of plastic surgery. Deviated septum, which is a form of plastic surgery. Even though they don't have to redo the nose, it's still there.
I do want to add something to his
I was in a severe bike accident, and almost all the flesh was ripped off the back of my hand and face. I almost needed plastic surgery. At that point, it would have been covered by Medicare had I been on it. If you're in a car accident, your cheek is ripped open all the way from your mouth to your ear, they will essentially use plastic surgery on Medicare to fix that.
I wanted to say to you all, Aaron's right, because what's happening is, as he said, they go to the website, they say yay, or they call up, like some websites have it on websites that we're not giving names because of slander.
Look at Dave. He had that big crater in his head, but they wouldn't do plastic surgery to fill in the crater.
They couldn't because they couldn't.
So not even that was covered by plastic surgery, even though his skull was visible. So
seeping goo out too.
You have to be careful on what is and what isn't covered by Medicare.
Now, the list of that Aaron was just bringing up is the person called up and said, "Do you do breast augmentation? Do you do mastectomies?" Oh yeah, okay. Put it in the computer database they're building. Next thing you know, he puts it online, and what happens, as Aaron said, then people like me and everyone else call, and they say, no, we don't take Medicare. Who's giving you this info? Next thing you know, exactly, they take it for things that is medically necessary. Then you say, well, what is medically necessary? And they say, breast implants, facial feminization, a mastectomy is all, if you're trans, is medically not necessary. That's what I'm saying. So if it's not medically necessary, then what the hell's the problem when you hear these female to males going, well, I had to lie and it was cancer, and they lop them off. Then they get their chest reconstructed. Then they're sitting here fighting to get their phalloplasty. Then Medicare comes in and says, oh, you've had this done and that done. Or they go and they lie and say, oh, I have ovarian and uteral cancer. Next thing you know, well, I had to use the uteral ovary cancer card, and the doctor agreed with me, and they backdoor it.
And they found out a doctor gave a false diagnosis so you can get it done. That doctor is going to be going to jail.
Exactly, and every surgery he's done, that's 5 years tacked on. So if he did 20 of them, he could be in there for life just because he screwed over the government to make a name for himself. So you see the point? So when you talk to these male to females, they say, oh yes, I'm getting my boobs done from blah blah doctor. Excuse me, I've contacted every plastic surgeon in America that does breast augmentation, facial feminization surgery just for the trans woman, and they say absolutely not. Now, if Medicare changes the policies, like certain people say, groups, trans advocacy groups are doing, and they push for it, and it gets lifted, that's different. But right now, I cannot say without a doubt that Medicare does not cover these surgeries. They're going to make a man have a vagina. That's it. Now, if you've had breast implants already, you're more woman than most. Now, if you have had facial surgery and breast implants, but you want your bottom surgery, then you're more woman than most, but it's the what's inside that counts mostly, but the outer appearance is important. So if you sit there and you say, well, I need my facial feminization, I'm 60, I'm going to kill myself. Social Security doesn't care if you plug yourself, stab yourself, or drink poison. The point is they say bottom surgery. I talked to a doctor about this for a while yesterday, and he basically said, this is how it works. He even said it. Mostly it's a man with a vagina. The army person, he's a man with a vagina. The one that just fought for Medicare. Man with vagina. Now, I'm not going to tell you which doctor I spoke to. That's confidentiality, and I'm not going to slander his name. But you get the damn point. Point is simple. Right? Right. Now, I'm going to be getting very angry soon if my dog doesn't shut up. Probably the neighbor's kicking the dang door again as usual. So
number 12, dragging furniture.
Anyways, before the dog keeps oofing, I just want to say, what is medically necessary, what isn't? Now, think of it that way. Breast implants, facial feminization isn't, what bottom surgery is. Medicare's got some explaining to do because, frankly, if you're going to go and say medically necessary for that, but the rest isn't, then they might as well just scrap the entire vaginoplasty. And if they're turning around and taking genetic women who feel they're men and building them completely and saying, well, the whole female to male system is medically necessary, but the male to female isn't, then why not we just take every damn woman in America medically necessary to make them men and then turn them into machine slave robots with heavy steroids that can do all the jobs that genetic men can do? Because, frankly, I'm getting tired of hearing medically necessary for the female to male while everyone else is getting crapped on.
Yeah, if it's medically necessary, every single person in this country honestly could use it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that people want that.
As Aaron said, is every American in this country would use the medically necessary card for whatever, and then this country would be bankrupt. So, no. Point is there's
it's medically necessary. I have a knee imported on my throat. I've always wanted a knee there.
You get the point. So please post comments and feedback if you wish. Add, subscribe, and leave comments. Now we rambled on long enough, so you get the point I'm making. What is medically necessary? What is medically not necessary? I will ask Aaron before we go back to our games if he can do the tags and set the topic because I have no clue. I'm having a brain fart. I'm just kind of irritated. Yesterday, the doctor tells me I have to transition again. Today, I've been told that no doctor will cover any of it. Yet, these damn transgendered people are lying through their damn teeth and making everyone look bad. Not just deceiving guys, but they're deceiving other trans people by saying this is medically necessary and they're getting it done.
Trans are the great deceivers.
There you have it. You see? As Aaron said, trans
They'll
women
even deceive themselves to feel better.
And me,
I'm
happy.
For the most
I'm happy that Aaron did the research and I've done my own research via letters because if I want to be let down easy from being disappointed, I ask Aaron to do it because Aaron knows how to let me down easy. And by the way, just so you all know, before I go, Aaron is completely and thoroughly right. I want to say you were right. You knew exactly what you're talking about even before we started this project.
Yes, I did.
And you can share that before we log off.
Yes, when Rita first found out, I told her all this stuff, and she said, no, I'll look into it and find out. The more she looked into it, the more right I was.
Yeah, basically he said that there's back doors, they're using it, and the back doors aren't. The trannies are lying. The more the lies, the more the things. So finally, I went out and invested in a phone, not just for my medical calls, but for other medical calls. And look what happens, you know? So, there you have it. And complete, total setup. So with that said, everyone, please add subscribe if you like. Please post comments, leave feedback, suggestions. Thank you. And may God bless the world. You know, I'm tempted to... Whoops! Sorry, I didn't know I did that. I'm tempted to make a phone call next. I wasn't going to tell Aaron, but this was still going. So, bye-bye!